morning, Titans. Welcome to CSUF News. I'm Jacob Hobson.
And I'm Tian Williams.
Our first story is about the 2-year anniversary of the Las Vegas shooting. Reporter JACLYN Davis was able to speak with 2 survivors about how they are coping 2 years later.
October 1st, 2017 marks a day in U.S. history known as the deadliest mass shooting in America. As this day approached, I talked to a couple people to see how they felt about the 2-year anniversary.
My mental state since October 1st has changed completely. I'm definitely not the same person I was the day I walked into that concert. I don't think any of us are the same. A lot has changed. You still live with fear. You still have daily challenges. There's the guilt of surviving when others didn't.
On October 1st, 2017, between 10:05 to 10:15 p.m., this event in Las Vegas killed 58 people and injured more than 400. This plaque is dedicated to the 58 Route 91 victims that lost their lives, and in particular, the victims that had lived in the Corona community.
Look at any social media the whole day. I didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to feel it, didn't want to relive it, didn't want to know about it. It was better for me just to avoid it completely than to think about it again.
I don't even go to those award ceremonies and stuff that you see like on the TV shows, and they always talk about it and like all their dedications. Like it just makes you feel like a family, and like you don't even know these people, and it's so crazy. But like out of this horrific experience, you gain like such a huge family. If you go to concerts, like there's always people wearing their shirts, and you just see each other and you hug, and it's just like nice to know there's other people that like know what you're going through.
The 2-year anniversary marks a time of remembrance and rejoice. These survivors don't want to live in fear anymore, and that is what they're choosing to do. I'm JACLYN Davis reporting from Corona, California with CSUF News.
We hope that the survivors and their families will continue to heal as time goes on.
Absolutely. This next story is about the Assembly Bill 5 and reclassification of the independent contractors as employees.
Many California workers, including freelance riders and Uber drivers, would be affected by this bill.
Reporter Darius Johari investigates the issue and also speaks to these independent contractors on how they feel about the bill being enacted.
Workers deserve a union! Workers!
Many California independent contractors are left split with the passing of a new bill rooted in stopping the misclassification of workers. The Los Angeles Times reports that the bill would affect 1 million California workers. California Governor Gavin Newsom signed Assembly Bill 5 into legislation on September 18, requiring gig economy companies like Uber and Lyft to reclassify independent contractors as employees. As some rejoice over the idea of minimum wage pay, the potential for unemployment, others, like Steven Ramirez, who has been driving for Uber since March 2018, would rather stay independent.
I would say most of the Uber drivers, and now I'm under that category, kind of like the turn on and off.
Just like gig workers, freelance writers have also voiced their concerns and fears about AB 5.
What people don't understand is that we're small business owners. We're not, the slackers that are just laying around not doing anything. We are small business owners, and we need to have the same capabilities that a flower shop owner or a store owner has to be able to run our business.
Randy Dotinga echoes other freelancers' concerns about the passing of AB 5. Dotinga and a group of other journalists met with the bill author, Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez.
Lorena Gonzalez did help us, and we really appreciate what she added to the law to help us out. We just feel like she didn't go far enough.
Freelance writers were granted partial exemptions, with journalists, writers, and photographers being capped at 35 submissions per publication per year. While AB 5 does not take effect until January 2020, many independent California workers feel uneasy about their future. This is Darius Johari reporting for CSUF News.
Thanks, Darius. Wow, I didn't know this bill affected so many people.
I know, it really makes you think about how difficult it can be to operate as an independent worker in California. In our next story, reporter Leah GILLICH was able to speak to some dancers from CSUF about gender stereotypes they face.
I love dance because it allows me to be expressive. It allows me to develop soft skills such as communication, teamwork, and perseverance that will allow me to be successful in the real world. Especially being a Filipino American, dancing is more of a social or a hobby thing more than it is a career. And so there were many times where I wanted to quit because my family constantly looked down upon me.
The future King of England will be putting down the Play-Doh to take on religious studies, computer programming, poetry, and ballet, among other things. You couldn't contain. Oh, he looks so happy about the ballet class.
My initial reaction to her comments in the Good Morning America newscast was literally I just froze, and I could not believe that still in 2019 that there would still be this sort of remarks, negative remarks and sort of mockery toward boys or men that are dancing, and more specifically in ballet.
Hopefully, awareness will eliminate these gender stereotypes.
Exactly what I was thinking. We'll be back after this short commercial break.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3, which is me after this. Wait, is it 2?
Welcome back, Titans. We're joined by Kimberly Cruz.
Thank you for having me.
Kimberly, I heard you recently had the chance to learn more about the new bill that would allow college athletes to be paid for playing their sports.
That's right, Jacob. Governor Gavin Newsom in the state of California passed a bill that would allow college student athletes to get paid. This is a move that was shown on LeBron James' HBO special, The Shop.
This bill allows student athletes to make money off sponsorships and endorsements that many believe will change the dynamic of college athletics across the country. Daily Titan editor-in-chief Jordan Mendoza has been closely following the story and its impact.
It's a perfect stepping stone because this allows them, to essentially like they're working for something, like when you have a job here, when you have a job anywhere, you put in the effort and you in return get paid. They don't really get that here. They get the scholarship, they get their books paid and school and, some meals and stuff like that, but it doesn't cover exactly what they all need.
This is a huge milestone, many believe, as professional athletes like LeBron James, Draymond Green, Reggie Bush, and many more have expressed their support for this bill.
With major support being shown, the question now is, what are student college athletes willing to sacrifice?
According to a Fox News report, NCAA has threatened to prohibit California universities from competing in NCAA play, making athletes choose between NCAA play or getting paid. Matt Sanchez, a CSUF baseball player, explains why he wouldn't want to sacrifice NCAA play in order to get paid.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't, just because playing for a college team is probably one of the highlights of my life.
However, some women athletes think this is an opportunity to expand women's sports and are willing to make that sacrifice.
I think it'll be really empowering for women and allow them to branch out and create their own brand and give them more opportunities.
With the California bill already signed, the law wouldn't come into effect until 2023, affecting mainly all NCAA Division I universities. The question now is, what will college athletes do? Kimberly Cruz, CSUF News.
With California being the first state to pass the NCAA bill, other states are expected to pass a similar bill.
Have you guys heard any updates on the new parking structure on campus?
Yes, in fact, for our final story, we have Matt Christie covering parking at CSUF and how availability for parking spots has been a major struggle for students.
Here at Cal State University Fullerton, students face a multitude of struggles on a day-to-day basis, including time management, balancing work and school, and of course keeping their grades up. However, another important issue faced is the lack and availability of parking for CSUF students. Parking has always been a struggle for CSUF students, having to show up more than an hour early in some cases to get to their class on time.
I have to get here for a class I have at 8 at 7:15 in order to park.
I should get here at 7:45 for a class at 8 so I can just make the walk.
In some cases, students are forced to park on the top floor of these structures as there's nowhere else to park. In the state college parking structure, the elevators don't even go all the way to the top floor, making students ride an elevator only to then take the stairs to go find their car. With parking costs rising to over $300 for a student pass, more than $100 more than the average Cal State parking pass, students need the parking experience to improve. Sasha Zoka is a communications specialist with the Parking and Transportation Department here at Cal State Fullerton and explains how the structure is expected to impact students.
It's going to open up more space on campus. It's going to have 1,900 spaces, and it's a student parking lot structure. So it's going to help alleviate that congestion that's already on campus. My honest opinion is that that's always going to be a problem at any university. And I think that's where we have to start moving towards alternative transportation options, and we do provide those.
With high expectations, students await the completion of the new structure in the fall of 2020. Matt Christie, CSUF News.
Thanks, Matt. And that concludes our show for today. Thank you for tuning in to CSUF News. I'm Tian Williams.
I'm Jacob Hobson.
And I'm Kimberly Cruz.